Hey guys, today I want to show you 10 retro JRPGs that I think could greatly benefit from a modern remaster. And I know the PS2 era is considered kinda retro nowadays, but it just doesn't feel quite that much to me yet. So I'll stick to JRPGs from before that generation and maybe make a video about PS2 one some other time. So let's begin! Number 10. Tales of Fantasia. First, I'd like to say that all of today's RPGs are kind of outdated. Fortunately, the majority aged somewhat decently, just not as good as many others of their time. Fantasia's best version to play is by far the PS1 release that stayed in Japan. So for starters, we have a problem to deal with first. I don't know why Bandai Namco refuses to localize it. All we got was a crappy GBA port a long time ago. The PS1 version runs solid and comprises a very acceptable fan translation nowadays, but it's dated and shows its age quite notoriously. Still playable and enjoyable, I don't think it aged that bad, but yeah, some tweaks here and there on the controls during battle could help a lot. The same can be fixed upon its encounter rate. A few modern features like fast forward or turning encounters off will improve things on the spotlight. But if they don't want to do any of that, well, it sucks and it's on them, but at least release the damn game outside of Japan, Namco. We don't really need more remasters of the most popular Tales games. Stop ignoring the ones you left behind. Number 9. Taranigma. Since this is an SNES title, it's the one game on the list that aged much better than the others. However, it suffers from a few things that can be fixed with a remaster. First and foremost, just like all the good versions of Tales of Fantasia, it never came to more than half of the world. It stayed in Japan and Europe until the internet dug it up and started recommending it. It's a great action RPG with strong storytelling and beautiful world design. Previously a forgotten hidden gem, nowadays held in high regard. It begs the question to the owner of the rights here, as the fans will be ecstatic to see it released worldwide. Even better if remastered to polish the visuals a little bit more, including the resolution. But it looks great already, so focusing on the controls, combat and the overall gameplay itself will be much appreciated. Not that it's suffering greatly from it, as I really do believe this game didn't age poorly. Still, any modern release whatsoever will be better than nothing. Number 8. Ogre Battle 64. Tactics Ogre is getting yet another revision pretty soon. First released on the Super Famicom, then ported to the PS1, then remade on the PSP, and now for modern systems. What I don't know is who the hell has the rights to Ogre Battle. It's not Square Enix? Anyway, the first game could definitely use a modern remaster as well, but the one that desperately needs it is the 64 title. Its age looks ancient with an art style that's starting to look ugly. It was beautiful back in the alleged golden age of RPGs, despite getting some nasty rejections by some magazines. Still, its gameplay and narrative felt more approachable and polished. It's just very graphically and artistically dated. I'm not saying they shouldn't improve in the controls department, but it's a strategy RPG and in that regard, they rarely age. I don't care for the Nintendo 64 and I don't care for this release either, since it's rare and expensive nowadays, but it's a great gem that needs to be acknowledged once again, even better for current generations. Number 7. The Legend of Dragoon. There's a reason why this game appears quite often in videos with games that desperately need a remaster. Its pre-rendered graphics did not age well, nor did its dark areas and weird-looking polygons. The textures could also use some refinement, seeing as they appear rather ugly nowadays. Controlling your character doesn't feel that dated, but still, it could use some work too. Combat aged almost perfectly though. It continues to engage with the player in more than regular turn-based shenanigans. Everyone loves that one feature where hitting the button at the right time increases damage against foes. Improving it with more accuracy though in some kind of remaster will make it even more enjoyable. Sony is indeed known for remastering games. They did a lot of that during the PS3 era. Considering how beloved this RPG is today, I'm surprised they haven't even bothered. Maybe because it was way more successful overseas than in Japan? Still, it sold considerably worldwide, so come on Sony, bring this popular title back. Number 6. Wild Arms 2. Why 2 and not 1, you ask? Because Wild Arms 1 was partially developed thinking it will be a Super Nintendo RPG, and if you've played it, it feels more on that generation than from the PS1 era, which means it aged way better than the majority of RPGs of this time. Granted, I'd love to see it remastered with upscale graphics and better resolution. Just give me that sweet 1080p, even if it's just at 30 frames per second. Wild Arms 2, however, needs the remaster a bit more. Characters are still 2D sprites, believe it or not, but the backgrounds are rendered in 3D. Honestly, I think Dragoon aged worse in this department, but Wild Arms 2 doesn't lag behind. Still, I'm more interested in seeing its controls and interface reworked. Improving movement and camera in its pseudo-isometric view could be arranged, I'm sure. During battle, however, we still have a graphical issue. Everything is entirely in 3D, including your characters, and nothing looks as fantastic anymore as it did back in the year 2000. It's honestly not too bad. I don't think Wild Arms 2 aged as poorly as others in this video, but still, a remaster will be much appreciated. Or at least one for the first game. Number 5. Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve's got some features that are still greatly enjoyable today, like its battle mechanics. Story and music are straight up untouchable, but the polygons look obnoxious and severely dated. Even the crazy CGI cutscenes that used to be one of the highlights of the game are starting to show off badly. However, by far the most dated aspect over here is the exploration. I love this game with a passion, but Aya controls terrible nowadays. She feels sluggish and clunky as hell, and could be improved fantastically with a modern remaster. Some say a remake will help it even more, and I agree, as long as they keep the battle system intact. We all know Square Enix likes to hack and slash everything for lack of variety and creativity. Turning Parasite Eve into a third-person shooter like what they did with the third birthday on the PSP is unacceptable, but everything else in a modern remake would make my wet dreams come true. Or if anything, at the very least, a modern remaster, that's all I ask. Number 4. Breath of Fire 4. This is my favorite game in the series. Putting aside its gorgeous pixel art and mesmerizing visual design, I think gameplay-wise it's troublesome. I remember when I first played it over 15 years ago, and the one thing that bothered me the most back then were the controls. The relationship with the camera in an isometric view was convoluted and turned upside down a glorious exploration. That's pretty much the one thing Capcom will need to work on in order to release a near-perfect remaster. I think the company is fully aware on how much love there is out there for the series and how fans crave worldwide to see it back. If there can't be a brand new game in the universe anymore, then by all means treat gamers with a few remasters. I'm not saying this is the one that needs it the most as opposed to its predecessors. Hell, every game in the series could benefit astronomically from one. But I picked this one because it's my favorite, simple as that. The rest is fine on the game. It looks beautiful, combat is still awesome even though an improved interface will make it even more appealing. So yeah, a remaster of any kind, just a remaster. Number 3. Fire Emblem Thracia 776. I wanna throw in Genealogy of the Holy War here as well, but my main interest is in Thracia. Both were released only on the Super Famicom, Thracia to a commercial disaster. Genealogy did pretty well, but as you can see, unlike many JRPGs of this console, it didn't age marvelously. I'm not the biggest fan of the sprites, the graphics or the art style, but I don't think it's bad either. I also think the maps are way too long, so if you're not using an emulator, you can't save anywhere. Dying or resetting because of the permadeath of any character is something nobody wants nowadays, so that's why I strongly believe a remaster of these two games with an official English release worldwide will shine. I wanted to focus on Thracia because it's a broken game published very late in the console's lifespan. It was extremely creative with what I consider as the best maps and mechanics across the series, well, except for the fatigue system. Characters that fight too much could get so tired you wouldn't be able to use them for the next mission. That's something stupid and doesn't need to be in any video game. Remastering this game could also mean getting rid of its infamous difficulty spikes, as no RPG in existence that I've played comes even close. The game's stupidly hard, but because it's broken, not because it was intended to be that way. I really do hope Nintendo can resuscitate these two gems in the form of a remaster, as they just look ultra desperate to receive one. Number 2. Star Ocean: The Second Story. This action RPG already received some kind of remaster on the PSP with slightly improved graphics and reworked character design, but that's about it. Now either version is expensive, unavailable on modern platforms. To add insult to injury, its predecessor got a nice upgraded treatment, which only led to justified jealousy from its much better brother. While the sprites look pretty decent nowadays, it's everything else that needs a makeover. Back then its pre-rendered backgrounds were beautiful and amongst the best looking on the PS1. Today they're just not, especially with their low res. The game looks old, but I still love it. However, I will appreciate remastered backgrounds, upscale visuals, and preferably with the original art style, since I wasn't a big fan of the one on the PSP. I'm not too keen on its spiky difficulty either. But you know what, this is a grindfest and it probably should stay that way. Battle controls could be improved somehow, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Star Ocean 2 is a very beloved and memorable game, so what's going on, Square Enix? Are you planning on some kind of remake or something? Number 1. Asino Gears. Because of what I said about Square Enix turning everything into action RPGs, I don't want a Asino Gears remake. It's true though that this game's mechanics and controls aged pretty bad, but the battle system did not. Anyway, worse than in Breath of Fire 4, the camera makes a fantastic job of ruining exploration. Obviously, its high encounter rate hinders progress even more. The sprites still look gorgeous and the art is beautiful, but the graphics are more than dated, especially the polygons used for the gears themselves. Combat with them feels way too old, clunky, and just not as memorable as the regular battle system with the human characters. I know rescuing the rushed development the game had is perhaps an impossible task, but a remaster could somehow make up for that. I don't agree with the majority of people when they complain about Disc 2 and its strong focus on the story. The reason why is because I believe this is the best plot I've seen in a video game, so since it had me completely enticed, I never noticed its issues. I just didn't care for them. But leaving things as they are will probably leave a lot of fans dissatisfied. Nevertheless, I'm more interested in seeing this memorable RPG in high resolution done right. Fixing the gameplay navigation will probably be a chore, but I swear fans will be very grateful if it ever gets fixed. That's all, no remake, don't touch my turn-based combat and its badass combos. All it needs is a thorough remaster or rework on everything else. Alright, it's time to fill the comment section with many other JRPGs that you think didn't age very well, the ones that could definitely use a modern upgrade. You know, like the Persona 2 games for example. What's going on in there, Atlus? Anyway, that's it for this video, so thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!